Hey guys, this is a Patreon Q&A. If you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description and you can sign up there. Kingsley asks, so what's going on with Luffy's new form exactly? So that's a great question, Kingsley, and I'll try to explain it as plainly and simply in this video as I can, going off of the information that we were given in chapter 1044, but I'll have to do some lifting for it because we don't know everything about it yet. This is only the first chapter it's been revealed. But anyway, it turns out that Luffy's fruit, the rubber fruit, is not the rubber fruit. That was apparently disinformation that the Gorosei spread for over 800 years in order to keep the public from the truth about it, and I guess they thought naming it the rubber fruit would make them disinterested, and also because it's heavily implied that this was the fruit that Joy Boy originally had, or the Joy Boy of the past, since Luffy is now regarded as the new Joy Boy. But it wasn't a paramecia rubber fruit, it was actually a mythical Zoan human fruit model Nika. So we have seen things like this before, such as with Sengoku, who had the human fruit model Buddha. Going further into the Gorosei's exposition, they say its user's body gains the properties of rubber in combat. They're supposedly only limited by their imagination, putting smiles on faces. Far and wide, they are the embodiment of the warrior of liberation. Awakening exponentially strengthens their rubber body, and they have even more freedom. It is allegedly Sun God Nika. Powerfully ambiguous, but on another scale than what we saw with Sengoku. And Sun God Nika, of course, is one of the monikers of Joy Boy that was revealed to us by Who's Who when he was talking to Jinbei about the liberator of the slaves and whatnot. And in that panel, we saw a silhouette of Sun God Nika, aka Joy Boy, and of course, it lines up with the silhouette that we see of Luffy in front of the moon as this is being said, because they are, of course, both using the same fruit. So the thing that really gets me here is they are only limited by their imagination. Now, I don't want to say that he can like manipulate reality or whatever, because like I said, it's not fully explained yet, and we've only begun to see just a little taste of what he is capable of in this form. But let me show you what he has done so far. So in this state, he's laughing more than he ever has. He's having like the time of his life when he's in this form, almost like he's on a high or something. And his body seems to transform more at a rapid pace than we've seen previously. Like the augmenting that we've seen with Gear 3 or Gear 4 even, he could just do that effortlessly at this point. He doesn't even need to signify to the audience that he's like doing something to make this transformation happen. It's kind of just like instant now. His arms can just become massive, or his upper body becomes massive. His biceps get huge like Zoro's gorilla ability, and his overall strength has extrapolated to the point of where he is objectively Yonko level, because he is just playing with Kaido at this point, spinning him around literally like he's in some kind of cartoon. Even though One Piece is like technically a cartoon, but you know what I mean. Like we have the comic eyeballs and whatnot, not just from Kaido, but also from Luffy, because like when Kaido fires like a bolo breath at him, his eyes pop out as well as his tongue. And I'm sure a lot of people relate this to like The Mask, if you're familiar with one of Jim Carrey's classic movies, because I guess you could say that The Mask's abilities are only limited by his imagination. Although I don't think Luffy is quite that powerful, because it seemed like The Mask could literally alter reality. So aside from responding to that blast breath, which is his eyes and tongue coming out, Luffy does exhibit typical awakening abilities that we have seen from Devil Fruit users before, such as changing their environment. As we saw with Doflamingo and Katakuri, they were able to make things out of strings or mochi. I'm assuming that Luffy is doing the same thing here by grabbing the ground and I guess making it rubber and pulling it up as a way to shield against Kaido's blast breath and actually send it back at him. Now, speaking of awakening, not only is this Luffy's Devil Fruit awakening and also revealing his true form and the true nature of this fruit, but also at the same time, it is referred to in the manga as his Gear 5. So yeah, it turns out this whole time that Luffy's awakening and Gear 5 are both going to be one and the same thing. So yeah, that is Gear 5 / Luffy's awakening / the human fruit model Nika. He's just a fully realized, ultra powerful, goofy version of what we have seen Luffy doing in pieces throughout the series up to this point. However, it appears that his head is now flames, so there could be some kind of fire abilities that he has too. We don't know if he can do it yet, but I'm pretty sure he probably will have some kind of fire powers, and that may go into the realm of only limited by his imagination. question. Ryan asks, what do you think they'll add / change about the Psychic Sister / Neo Hero intro arc? So I assume that we're gonna go way more into like the support team, maybe Glasses. I hope they eventually touch on him again, because I think he is a pretty interesting character that needs more development, whether he becomes good or bad. And we'll possibly get more development on the Neo Heroes before it's kind of just sprung on us. And that being said, I think we'll get even more of the S-Class dividing itself, or just showing that there's tension in the Hero Association. And I'm sure it'll shed more light on the aftermath of the war, since there was way more public awareness to it. There's just so much that I assume they're going to expand upon, because so much more has happened in the manga. Scottish Wolf asks, we all know this will happen at some point in time, so let me ask it now. Saitama will need to be defeated in some way or another, outsmarted or manipulated. How and who do you think could do this in the future? So I wouldn't say that we all know this. Maybe some of the elitist pedantic hardcores think that possibly. Then again, I don't really pay attention to any of the battle manga communities, but I just don't think this is like a common sentiment, to be honest. And I think even bringing that up would probably anger people. But as for my theory on how this is going to happen, I said before I'm going to make a video about this. It will come out eventually, I promise. There's just a few videos that I need to make beforehand to establish some stuff first, and it's kind of already being set up in the webcomic as we speak. MajinBoros asks, how powerful do you think God will be? And I know you've been asked this many times before, but I feel like God is universal. So when you say universal, do you mean like universe buster? Because I don't think so. And I think the term universe buster is used way too liberally with battle manga characters. As far as I've seen, this is hardly ever evident. We see more of this literally happening in like Marvel and DC and things like that. So I don't think God can destroy the universe, or at least from what we've seen so far, I don't think he can. He's pretty darn powerful, of course, but I don't think he has that kind of power. But hey, I hope I'm wrong, because if Saitama defeats a universe buster, that would be pretty exciting. Natedawg asks, what are the odds that the Attack on Titan anime will have a different ending? So I honestly have no idea at this point. I don't really even know how Isayama responded or took in the reception of the ending. I'm not sure how the Japanese fandom received it and what their reaction was, because that's honestly the only reaction or attention that the mangakas or just Japanese companies in general care about. I don't think they'll ever take into consideration like the Western or the international side of reactions. They don't really care about that, and they never have, at least in my opinion. So unless the Japanese fandom was like so outraged the way that like you'll see on Twitter for every little thing, I guess he doesn't even feel like he needs to change it, because I mean, he originally made it the way that he wanted, right? So what would the new ending even be? Would it radically retcon it and change it in a way that would satisfy the Twitter mob? Because like, if that's the case, then why even bother? Anomaly asks, how would you have felt if Star and Stripe would have said, my quirk goes to my master, and Toshinori would end up with New Order? I'm not really sure how I would have felt, to be honest. That would have been so radical if that did happen. So I've kind of already accepted that All Might has been nerfed beyond belief, and he'll never come back, and he'll never really do anything substantial outside of being in combat. And Horikoshi, I'm sure, would never want this, and the large part of the fandom doesn't, because they don't care about All Might. Sean H asks, besides Dragon Ball, there aren't very many space battle shonens that I can think of. Why do you think that is? So now that you bring it up, I guess there aren't. The last one that I can remember, at least that I was aware of, was Samurai 8, and that was axed about 40 chapters in or something. I guess it has something to do with the demographic maybe, because when we do come to like space battle manga or whatever, it's usually like the senins or even space animes. It's usually like, you know, trending up in age. So I guess they figured that like space stuff and that genre of science fiction is more so for like older teens, young adults maybe, rather than like the core shonen demo. Delamante asks, who would win in a fight between Broly and Jiren? So this is a good question, and if you would have asked me this like 4 years ago, I probably would have had a way more in-depth answer than I'm gonna give you now. I don't even know if there's like a legitimate answer to it at this point, because in the Broly movie, Goku said like, at some point I thought you were strong as Beerus, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And in Jiren's prime, in the Tournament of Power, in the, you know, anime continuity at least, they were saying that his power surpassed the gods, and Beerus himself was showing visible signs of being worried about Jiren's power display. So at the time, it seemed like Jiren was stronger than Beerus. Beerus. But now in the manga's continuity, it seems like all of that just doesn't matter anymore, and that Beerus is like way stronger, or they just retconned him to make him much stronger than what we thought he was. So I was originally just using Beerus as kind of like a measuring stick for them. So now that that's out of the way, at least for me, so I really don't know. If I say Broly, it's going to make people mad. If I say Jiren, it's going to make people mad. So I guess it just comes down to whoever you want to win wins. Little Ferrari asks, what's your favorite part / aspect about being a YouTuber? So now that I've come this far into my career, I'll say the freedom of schedule that it gives you. That's unfortunately pretty much it nowadays. So that's it for the video today, guys. I want to thank all of my patrons for continuing to support me. I really do appreciate it, guys. And once again, if you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description. You can sign up there. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.